impact of CBD and THC on training and recovery. I'm going to divide this up into two questions, one for THC, one for CBD, because they are different things. THC being the psychoactive compound of marijuana, CBD being the not psychoactive compound of marijuana. I looked up a few studies for this just to make sure that I was citing things correctly, because I had some off the top of my head that I knew to reference, but wanted to be sure that I got the right information. I don't want to give you guys something false because of bad memory. Again, starting with THC, there was a systematic review done just 2 years ago, 2018. And if you don't know anything about research, systematic review is like S tier, top tier, best research review that you can go for a conclusion, because it analyzes all of the studies that were done on this topic. This one in particular looked over 15 well-published studies over the span of 10 years and cross-referenced them to see and give a final conclusion on how good THC actually is for training. The conclusion it came to is that THC does not enhance aerobic exercise or strength. Basically what it's saying is your muscles and your lung capacity and your heart don't gain any benefit, significant benefit. There are marginal benefits to some people looking at the study, but overall as a whole, 462 people that were tested across the 15 published studies, there wasn't a significant change, positive impact to say that this was helping, or a negative enough change to say that this is hurting you if you take THC prior to training or while training or post-training. I work with clients that use this as like a pre-workout thing. Two things I would say is the dosage makes a big difference and the person using it makes a big difference, and their experience using it as well. I think if you're an experienced user, it's less likely to provide a negative impact in your training if you're a more experienced user not using a high dosage. Whereas if this is gonna be the first time you ever use it and you do way too much, you're gonna have a hard time lifting at all or getting a good mind-muscle connection. Anecdotally speaking, I've had clients that needed to work out, puts them in a good headspace, it gets them zoned in. Likewise, I've had other clients and friends that don't enjoy it that much. I've tried it a couple times before training and they had negative results from it. They didn't enjoy it as much, they didn't enjoy training as much, they felt a little more lethargic, and it really becomes person by person basis at that point. So there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing helpful about it either. Now, when it comes to CBD, there was a couple studies I looked up for this one. The one I'm deciding to use though was just published in 2020. It is a cohort study, so it's not as high up as a systematic review. It's not as conclusive, but it's still up there in terms of credibility, the practices used to determine this research. What they found was that CBD has been reported to exert a number of physiological, biochemical, and psychological effects that have potential benefits to athletes. They found measurable differences in athletes' performance for sprinting, bench pressing, and bodyweight squatting. The rate of perceived exertion went down because CBD helps limit the inflammatory response that's caused by training. So you're less likely to experience any burning sensation, and you're less likely to fatigue as soon as you would without it. So it helps you recover faster while training, which is really impactful. That's actually an amazing thing to have. You can burn more calories longer, you can perform at a higher intensity longer. You can challenge your muscles longer as well without going to failure. Your rate to exhaustion is longer while taking CBD. And likewise with recovery, when it's used post-training alongside a post-workout recovery meal, which was also controlled for each individual, their level of soreness was down and the rate of recovery was higher, 48 to 72 hours post-training. Which is really cool to see. So CBD, as opposed to THC, has measurable benefits in terms of aiding with your training. If you take it beforehand, it limits the inflammatory response of your body so that you can train longer and harder than you would without it, and it helps you recover from training more effectively as well. In another study, again using CBD as a sleep aid, they found that people were able to maintain muscle tissue at a 5% higher rate, which is significant enough for them to say it's helpful. Lots of really cool things here. That was a really good question, I think, because CBD is so popular right now and has been for a couple of years. So it's good to be informed about these decisions and what is objectively happening as opposed to subjectively happening.